Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing an unboxing and an install tutorial on this, the D600 from GKU. So this dash cam does advertise a 4K sensor for our front-facing camera, but if we look at some of our other details, you can see here it says 2.5K at 1080p. So the reason for that is that it can record 4K if you're using just the front-facing camera, but if you're recording with the front-facing and the rear camera, it only does 2.5K because the memory card can only record so much data at a time. And so 4K is the maximum, but if you're trying to get two cameras in at the same time, it can only do 2.5K and 1080p out of that rear camera. So something to keep in mind. And the first thing we see here is our user manual. We have a couple of stickers. These are the adhesive pads that you can put on your glass to make it so that it doesn't leave residue and also less likely to fall off. We also have our warranty card here from GKU. And then we have our dash cam. Very nice, clean look here. No real monitor on this one, whereas my previous dash cam has a monitor on it. This one just has a small screen here, an adhesive bottom, and then our lens here on the front. It also comes with a 64 gigabyte memory card. Uses USB-C charging, and then we have a second plug that is to connect our rear-facing camera. The base here is adjustable depending on the angle of your windshield. We also have another button over here. We'll figure out what that does later. Next, we have a little black box that has all of our other accessories in it. The first bag I've grabbed here is our power cord. So we have USB-C charging on the end, and then this just plugs into a standard car charger port with an extra USB port so you can charge your phone as well. And then our second bag here it contains our rear camera. It's adjustable 360 degrees. Very compact, small. We got a really long cable to get you from the rear of your car all the way to the front, where this will plug in right there. Last bag in here is a bunch of cable clips. These will be used to help keep everything clean and tidy so you don't have wires just dangling everywhere. We also have a trim removal tool. This guy will be used to pop the trim so you can get your cables tucked away cleanly. And lastly, we do have an extra 3M adhesive pad. That's basically to replace this guy if you ever do have to move your dash cam. And this is everything that comes inside of the packaging. We have our electrostatic stickers, our user manual, warranty card, the dash cam itself, its car charger power adapter, a trim removal tool, our rear camera with its cable keepers, and an extra adhesive. Let's go ahead and start the installation process. So right here is my rear view mirror, and I'm going to be setting this guy up right behind my rear view mirror so that it's not obstructing my view. Pretty much just like that. We're going to set it up right on the other side of this guy here. And then of course that is adjustable, so you can make sure you get the right frame of view. We can put it pretty much anywhere. You just want to be mindful of where it's going to be in your line of view. So you could set it up right here in the center or here, anything like that. But the most important part is starting clean. Make sure you start by cleaning up the area. Get some glass cleaner in here. I know you're like, my windshield's clean. I wash it, you know, it's inside, whatever. It's not. There's dust. There's something in there. So giving it the best chance to stick for the longest amount of time. I've had dash cams and all sorts of things fall off of my windshield that you try to attach up there. The best way to get it to stick the longest is to make sure you have a clean surface. And then for myself, I'm going to be using this static film here so that it comes off cleaner and we don't get any residue from our 3M pad. So let's go ahead and peel this guy up. apply this guy right here. Oh. And now we have a surface. It's going to be great for sticking this to that won't leave any residue from this double-sided sticky pad. We'll go ahead and put this, you might want to put it either in the middle or below, because if you put it too high, this edge might obstruct the view of your camera lens itself. I'm going to go a little bit lower just because my mirror does hang low enough that will still be behind my mirror, so it's not obstructing any view for me. So that is the easy part. You can angle it up and down. It's got a pretty wide angle view, 170 degrees I believe, so we don't have to worry about angling it too much left to right. As long as it looks kind of level, you should be good. Now let's go ahead and run our power cable here. All right, so the cigarette lighter power plug for this guy here is going to be right down here. So we're going to go ahead and run this guy up and around this way. If you don't want to go through the trouble of making this nice and clean and whatnot, you can run just a simple USB-C cable straight up to our camera. But we're going to go ahead and show you how to do it nice and clean. So my rear view camera here does have a whole electronic sensor array right here. So it's going to make it really easy to just take this guy. We're just going to tuck it in here just using the friction of our casing. Just using my trim removal tool to create a gap here so I can tuck the wire up in there and get it up and out of the way. And now that we've made it up here to the headliner, you can use one of these little cable keeper clips that are included to tuck the wire up in here and hold it securely. Keep in mind though, you only get 5 of these, so use them sparingly when you actually need them. We're just tucking this up in that headliner. Now that we've made it to this corner here, we can use our trim removal tool to pop this off. There we go. And then up here in this corner, I've added another one of these cable keeper clips just so it's out of view from this windshield, but also hidden behind this panel once we reinstall it. And then right here, about halfway down on my pillar here, you can see our airbag stops. So that's where we need to stay above it, and then we can cross over. One downside is, unless I started at the outlet here where this plugs in, where it would have to squeeze through this small hole, the small plug on the end of that would go through easily. However, this guy might be a little more difficult to fish through that gap there. We're going for it. There we go. Keep in mind, all vehicles are different. This is a 2017 Corolla. Your panels and airbags might be different or non-existent depending on how old your car is. But now we're gonna go ahead and fish this wire all the way down here until we can get to this panel right here. All right, now we've made it to this panel here. On my car, it's actually pretty easy to pop this guy off, just like that. It's meant to come off easily. Your car might be different, but all that's being held on are these little spring clips here that you can just pull out, and then it hinges on the back 2 tabs. And now I'm gonna send this in here through this hole. That's gonna come out my glove box here. That'll help me with our cable management. And that's all we need to do over here. Put our panel back on, just like that. You'd never know that there's even wires there. And now this wire set can go to our plug right here. If you want to be lazy, you can just tuck that up in there and then boom, plug it in. You're good to go. If you'd like it to be a little bit neater like myself, you can always take the twist tie that came with it and wrap it around your extra cord here. We'll go ahead and bundle that all up together. And then you can tuck it up and above your lip here, so it's not actually obstructing any of your glove box. And then you can grab one more of your little clips and attach it to the inside upper so that the cable will be kept up in there. And the last thing we need to make sure we do is we're not blocking any latches or levers for our glove box. So if this cord is coming up on that, it's going to have trouble staying closed. So you may have to use one more to kind of tuck that away, or just kind of slam it shut, figure out where that needs to be, and you can do it from there. Make sure that end is plugged in, and we're good to go. If you want to have a 4K dash camera, and you're not worried about having the back camera, you're done here. This is good. However, if you want to connect your rear-facing camera, you'll need to plug into this port here, and we're going to run it all the way to the back of the car. Ignore all the scratches in my tint. However, as you can see, there's some black lines in my back window. That's those little heater wires. So to make sure that we avoid those, I'm actually going to install the app on my phone first, connect this rear camera, and then align it vertically so that we're looking between these wires rather than having one of them obstruct our view. To download the app for your dash cam, we'll go ahead and scan this QR code. We got a quick link there. We can go ahead and click on that. It'll open it up in the Google Play Store. We can then open up the app once it's installed, agree to whatever they need, say yes, we can connect to it. And now we'll go ahead and hit Add Camera. So here it'll tell you how to wire it so that you can get it connected to power. And then this dash cam is now projecting a Wi-Fi. So we'll go ahead and click on Connect to Wi-Fi. We'll just open up our settings app. And here we can see the GKU D600. We'll connect to that. And the password is, and it told us earlier, but if you forget, it's got it right here, 12345678. Connect. And so if you get this pop-up like myself where it says internet may not be available, we'll say connect this time here. Now we can hit the back button, and you can see here we have our dash cam. And the first notice we're getting is to format the memory card, that 64 gigabyte card. So we'll go ahead and go to camera settings. Let's see if we can figure out where to format our SD card. Format SD card right there. Hit OK. Formatting.
Formatting is completed.
There we go.
Start recording.
Right, and then if we hit this little flip camera button, it should jump to our other camera, I think. There we go. We can see our rear camera. Now we can set that one up, and we're going to use this view to be able to see where we're positioning our rear camera. So I got my phone set up right here, and then I will arrange this camera around to see where the best place to put it is to make sure we're not getting these lines in there. You can see there from the screen recording, you got this big black line there. So we're going to go to where those lines are not in our view. And this is also where you need to decide if you want it connected from the right or the left, things like that. I think we're going to go like this. Now, just like before, we're going to use our little clear lens. So I'm getting an idea of where I want to put that. I'm thinking about right there, so that this isn't obstructing our view, but also so that our lines aren't obstructing the view either. So it is such a wide angle lens, holy cow. Let's go ahead and clean that area up. And there it is. Good gravy. That was difficult. All right, and now we can take the rest of our cord and tuck it up and out of the way, up into this headliner. Might be a good idea to use one of your wire clips right here, just so it doesn't fall down and into your back window area. Keep that nice and tidy. All right, now we can tuck this guy up in here in our trim. One nice thing is we do have a little plug here. We might want to make that somewhat accessible to ourselves so that if we do need to disconnect this for any reason, just make it easy to get to. It's actually fairly easy to pull back this headliner here, to tuck this guy up in here, no problem. And then just make sure you get that rubber lip back on top of your headliner here, just like that. That does not want to come out, so we're just gonna go ahead and tuck that up in there. And we'll just come like before, pull this trim back a little bit. And we can tuck this up into our trim. And then once we get to this point here, I have a whole ton of extra because I have a compact car. But if you have like a full-size SUV, this will reach all the way to the back of your SUV. However, for myself, I'm gonna have to figure out how to tuck this up in here to the headliner, maybe into some space that's not being used here. I've just bundled all this up here, and then I'm gonna actually tuck it up here. Looks like there's a bit of a pocket right here, so I'm gonna just tuck it up in here like that. And now no one will ever know it's there. And then we'll come over here and we can just tuck this up into our headliner on the front. And then just like our other cable, just go ahead and tuck it in here behind our mirror power kit, or you can just wrap it around however you need to do that. Now those wires are tucked nice up in there and all the way across. Nice and tucked.
Start recording.
Let's go ahead and take it for a test drive. This is an example of driving around in town where things are going to be much closer. We're not going to be moving as quickly, things like that. So cars are going to be closer up, and I imagine it'll probably be easier to read things like license plates and whatnot. You can see those plates there as I passed by them. There's an oncoming car. Can you identify what kind of car that is? Didn't have a front plate. Most vehicles here don't seem to have front license plates, but come to here. We've got this little Volkswagen there. Now we can get a good look at like the cars on my left and right. We're doing about 20 miles an hour here, and these are all cars parked on the sides of the roads. We are just after dusk, so the sun, there's still some light, but it's overcast, and so all the headlights are on too, which, like this little Fiat here, will provide that kind of visual obstruction. Just a good example of what you can expect in the video quality. How is the audio quality in this guy? I'm just talking at a normal tone of voice right now, so this is what you can expect to hear when someone is just speaking inside of the car. Now you can see at a complete stop how good the camera looks on a car in front of you. Look at our rear camera driving around town. We're doing about 25 miles an hour right now. We can see how well you can see through that back camera. Did I set it up correctly? Are there obstructions? Or need to point it up and down? I'm not sure. We'll go ahead and check that out after this drive is done. This is a good example of looking at the car behind you. Can we see the driver, what they're doing? It is a little bit dark, so I don't imagine we'll be able to see if they're like looking at their phone or anything. But maybe during the daytime. This is an example of my car's like automatic following distance. No matter
how fast I tell the cruise control to go. It won't get closer than this, but this gives you an idea of how well you can see the license plate. This is about 2 car lengths behind the car in front of me, and I myself can read that license plate just fine. It might be a little bit blurry on those first letters, but honestly, I'd be able to make them out if I sat there and focused. And the car on the left is an even better example. That one's much clearer. This is what we can see with the front-facing dash cam with 2.4K video. You can kind of get an idea of how good a quality you'll see before it cuts out of frame. If you're actually passing somebody and you want to get a better shot of their license plate, you can see that as an example there. Through the tinted window and everything, how well can you see that? I know he's got headlights on, so that might also be an obstruction. Let's go ahead and let him pass, see if that'll get it close enough that we can make out what that is, or be able to even see the driver through the tinted window in the back. How much of an obstruction is my tinted window? Is it able to compensate for that? Oh, that was a traditional license plate from New Hampshire. Green on white. That blended in quite a bit. Alright, let's go ahead. Let's see if we can get that SD card out. There we go. It's pretty tough. There we go.
All right, so those last ones were all filmed in at dusk while overcast, and I want to give it the best conditions possible, and I also want to test out the 4K. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a 4K video clip here if I can get that before posting this video, if weather will clear up where I live. However, if it doesn't, I'll try and get something for you with the 4K video clip. Just a reminder, to get 4K video out of this, as it advertises on the box, you have to only do the front-facing camera. You just disconnect the back camera. And as for the view, the aspect ratio, whatever you want to call it, the 170-degree wide-angle lens is great. So pretty much where I put the cameras in the first time, I didn't have to adjust them at all. So that all worked out. Makes installation real easy. If you can kind of guess where it's pointing, you're probably good enough. As for the 2.5K, or I kept on saying 2.4K, it's 2.5K video quality. Yeah, I have to get a lot closer than I thought I would to be able to read a license plate on a car. And here where I live, the license plates are very stark. It's a white plate with black text. And there was one car that I saw that was out of state, and theirs was like a light green with a dark green text, and it all kind of meshed, and even when looking through the front facing camera, it couldn't pick up the license plate number on that one. So that's something to keep in mind, is that it's not perfect, but you can get a lot of details of the vehicle, things like that. Honestly, if you're having an incident with a car, aside from catching dumb drivers, which you may not always need license plates for that, if they're actually making contact with your car, the cameras are probably close enough at that point to read the license plate. And one nice thing that I do want to make sure I mention, is that this one, unlike most devices I've gotten, does come with a SD card in it, built in, that you don't even need anything to get started. You can just plug it in and go. Whereas a lot of other devices I've gotten lately, whether it's a camera or anything like that, you have to buy an SD card, like an extra SD card. And so this one came with a 64GB SD card, and after doing a quick test and driving it around, the 64GB SD card will last about 8 hours of video recording time. So depending on how much you drive, things like that, that can vary on hey, do I need a bigger card or not? For myself, I live in a very rural area. The nearest major anything is about a 30-minute drive. So that means I'm driving 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, and then any time in between. So at the most, I'm getting 8 trips, my last 8 trips, and then it overwrites those last ones where my SD card is full. So to prevent that, I just went ahead and bought another micro SD card. This is a 512GB SD card. This will get up to 64 hours of video time with the 2.5K and the 1080. With the 4K, I don't know, I haven't looked at that yet on how much space that actually takes up on the card, but If you're recording with the front camera and the rear camera, which if you're buying this, that's probably why you want it. You're probably going to be able to expect about 64 hours of video, and that's going to be recording the front and the back at the same time. Each camera does delineate the name where it gives you a time and date stamp, and then it says F for front and B for back. While we're talking about the SD card, I kind of showed that in the transition of the first set of clips and this, is that it's kind of tricky to get that card out if you are using your rear camera. I actually have to unplug that cord for the rear facing camera to be able to access that micro SD card, to be able to pull it out, plug it into my computer, pull off the video files. If you want to pull them off otherwise, they do have the app that I kind of showed you in the beginning where you can download them onto there. However, you do have to use like the device's Wi-Fi, this, that, and the other. There's a whole lot of things that go into it, whereas just pulling out the SD card and plugging it into your computer and you're good to just pull those off of the file folders there. Speaking of like the user interface, where you have to use the app for pretty much anything on this thing, aside from like when you push the button on the side, that one side button is to tag a video so that while you're driving, you're like, oh hey, let's get this bad driver, let's get, you know, this accident, whatever issue it is you want to retain this video, it will save that and prevent it from being overwritten when you do run out of space on your SD card. When you push that button, it'll actually lock that video clip so you don't lose that. Like on the interface, I'm not a big fan of like having to do everything through the app to like interface with the device. There is no screen. There's nothing else you can do. You have to use the app. And the only other dash cam I've had, I have a video here. It's the Rove R2 4K dash cam. And that one actually has a full-on display where you can interact with it. You can tell it, hey, do show this, don't show that. And it has a lot of other options built into it that this one doesn't offer. However, this one does have a rear-facing camera, where that one, mine doesn't have a rear-facing camera. Rove does offer a camera that does have a rear-facing camera, but this is the one that I reviewed. Moving on, the panel pry tool. It works. It's not very big. Honestly, most of the time I found myself just using it to pry enough to get my fingers latched in there to then be able to pull off any panels that needed to come off. Honestly, it doesn't actually get any panels off on its own. I didn't have any luck with that. However, it did give me enough space or leverage to be able to get the panel off the rest of the way with my hands. Last note I want to make, and recommendation I would for this product, is that like when the car turns on, it has a little voice that says start recording or something like that. It seems chintzy, cheap. I actually, oddly enough, prefer just a simple like a chime, a tune, a little ding, like a little dinging, something simple, short, and not obstructive. Like I honestly don't even hear my other camera when it does turn on, and I know it does, because like every once in a while I'm like, oh hey, yeah, that's my dash cam going off, like saying it's recording. But it doesn't have to like actually tell me I'm recording now every time, where this one, it does this like
Start recording.
and I'm just like, I just do a little ring. Let me know it's good. If there's an issue, maybe be like SD card full and I'm unable to rewrite over it, whatever it is. Like if you have something to tell me, great. But if you're just doing your job as normal, I don't need you to tell me about it. That is the D600 dash cam from GKU. It's got a front-facing camera and a rear-facing camera. Front one can do 4K, or you can have 2.5K and 1080p on your rear-facing camera. Comes with everything you need to get this thing going. They do say in the manual that if your car doesn't have that old-fashioned cigarette lighter style plug to plug it in, if you reach out to them, they will actually send you a USB cable that can then just run to whatever it is you do have available, so that you can charge this camera while also being used. Or if you'd rather, you can just buy your own USB-C cable and plug it in that way. And that is it. If you want to get this guide for yourself, go ahead and use the Amazon links down in the description of this video. Using those links do help to support this channel with no additional cost to you. So thank you so much for your support, and if you'd like to continue supporting and you appreciate this video, please consider subscribing. If you have any questions at all about this or anything else you've seen in my videos, feel free to leave your question in the comments of this video. I try to be as responsive as possible in all of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.